Hi, this is Vishal and we are on the next session of the Kotlin related videos, and here we learn how to implement and work with the Dagger in the Kotlin. So that's very interesting session. It's the first basic session in which we have to learn the Dagger in your Kotlin and some annotations related to the Dagger, and we can do the injections with the classes. So these be the basic and some basic rules of the Dagger you have to follow. And in my coming sessions, you will learn rest of the annotations of the Dagger in mvvm approaches, clean architecture, small app with the Dagger. So lot of things in my coming sessions that will complete this Dagger tour. So continue with this tour, and you learn a lot of things there. And I have seen that on my Kotlin related videos. You put it the very good commands. That means that's your enthusiasm of learning the Kotlin, and I will make more videos for you so you clear your fundas. So thanks for your appreciations for the Kotlin videos. And those who working with the Java and Kotlin, I think they know well that I already uploaded many sessions or a playlist related to the Dagger, and in which we have learned the modules that provide, inject, that means all the annotations related to the Dagger. And we work with small applications. That means some fundas we have clear, but I will clear again these things to you for the Kotlin session. You just download this talk and read it, because of lot of information that will the Dagger be here. And I will explain these things practically one by one on the Android Studio, and how we can use the Dagger component, how we can use, how we can inject, how we can provide, how we can create the modules. So a lot of stuffs be there. And as we know that we have a main activity and we have a repository. Generally what happen that if we need information, we just call that class directly. So that is one rule. And but I don't go with the mvvm approaches. I just call the repository in your main activity, just old approach. And I will how we can use the Dagger on that view model. I will explain on my next sessions. So here we just call a very basic rule. That means a repository call on the main activity. So what happened, that is a direct calling of that and use it. I will explain that in Android. So here when we inject it with the Dagger, how the effect, how it can affect on that, and that means this repository informations, how we can use it in your main activity using the Dagger. So first we see these two difference and learn the things in Android Studio. That means theory with the practical. Okay, so let us start it in Android Studio. Okay, so let us start it in Android Studio. This is your app. Here we have to build some Gradle, that is a plugin, Kotlin capped, and this is your capped generated stubs is equals to true, and here we needed a capped and Dagger. So you check your versions. I'm using at this time 2.5, and implementations of the view model, live data extensions, that's no need of at this time, but in my next session I will use the view model, so just implement it. And this is your main thing is your Dagger be here, and your capped generated stubs and your Kotlin capped important things. So whenever you work with this is your main activity, and don't go with the separate classes at this time. Just showing two class be here. This is your repository. Maybe this is your separate class and you want to work with this. And here we have any value that we want to show. That this is my text, and this is a simple class. Okay, and I want to call this. What you need for that, you just say that this is your repository, and that repository be your repository, and you just call it using. And here if you go for the main activity, I just go for, this is the text value, and I want to show this thing be here. So that means your text dot text is this is your repository, and that repository dot my text. So that means at this time it is a hello world, but when we use this, we can you go for this is a simple class. So this is a very simple way or basic approach in the Kotlin you call the class. Okay, and this is the information of the repository. But what happen if this repository contain multiple information, lot of functions be there, and this kind of many repositories be there, and how we can use this informations in this activity, and we have a multiple activities or multiple fragments be there, so that means lot of complexities. So do not go call with that here again and again. So we just go and put that information somewhere, and we inject that information and use it wherever we need. So that is the approach of the Dagger. Okay, so if we go for the doc, okay, this is a simple class. You see that this is a simple class. Okay, if you go for the doc here, at this time what we have done, we have done this main activity. This is the repository, and there is some information we want to use it on your main activity. Okay, so we can use it directly, but that means if we want to provide informations to activity, then we need to inject it. And if we have a multiple informations, that means we have a multiple informations, multiple activities be there. So what we need, we just go for the Dagger and inject that information wherever we need. So now I explain how we can inject this information using the Dagger, and how you can create the Dagger by a single activity. Okay, so here we need the basic thing is we need a component. So the first basic principle of the Dagger is we need a component, and that component be by interface, and I'm giving this interface be a repository component. Easy. And here I just use the inject repository, and I say this is the app main activity. So that means whenever you inject this somewhere, we need the component, and that component be a Dagger component, that is the bridge between your informations. I explain these things in the Java well, that is a component always be a bridge that is related to your source and destination. So here I need to inject these things in your main activity. So what we need it? We need it, that is inject that repository be here. So easy. And because of we have to inject this repository, so how we can use this injection be here, that is a very important part. So what to do for this, we just go and say that it is a at I want to inject this class information, but we need a constructor. That is an important, where we inject it is either on the class or on the constructor. So that is the injection. So here at this time we passing the value, or you can pass any function be there, just like you can say that any function be call my value, or whatever be you want to need it to work with, and you want to return that hello. So you can call this, it depends on you how you can use this your function. At this time I'm just showing with the variables. Okay, so here this is a simple class, we can use it as a repository text. This is our component. So the first rule is whenever you need the Dagger, you have to create an interface, you give that interface name and any function name where you want to inject it. Okay, so this is the component well, and here we can see that I don't want to go with this call, so that means our call be different. So that means the call is like we have to inject, that is a late init, that is a repository, and that repository be our class repository. So we need to call this class value be as in that is inject. So why we need a late init? I think that is, you know well what's the difference between. That means it use it wherever we go for the null values or likewise that. So that means maybe a threat of that, so we use the late init. Okay, I just explained this thing, but okay, just before it, because that is an important. Properties declare as having a non-null type must be initialized in the constructor. So properties can be initialized through dependency injection, but you still want to avoid null checks. So it's good whenever you work with the Dagger, you use the late init for such a injection. Otherwise, sometimes you get a null values with there or your app be crash. Okay, so here we go for that. And now what to do with that injection be ready. That means we need this injection, this information I want on the activity, but how? Using that component. But how we can call this component? You just go for, just at this time hide it, you just build and rebuild the project, so it create your component class. Just like is the same as we work with the data binding, because of when we give the data binding class name, we just build it. So very interesting topic, that is the Dagger. So here I have to inject this repository. What we have done, we need a component, we need a repository class that we have to inject, and also we need that particular variable that we need to be work as an injection. So that means by which we can access that information. Okay, so let it compiles one. Okay, so here if we go with the class, so we can say that there is a repository component to be here. So that means if you go for the Dagger, you can see that Dagger repository component. You have to create that, and this is your function, and you can say this. So we have to inject this information, and here I'm saying this is a Dagger class. So that is your component. Whenever you work with that component name, it just show to you after the your rebuild the values. That is your Dagger repository component. So that is the difference between you have to work with the inject and a simple calling. But uh, in the complexity we arise whenever we have multiple activities, we have a multiple um, classes be there, multiple functions, multiple resources be there. So how we can use, how we can make it? So we need this Dagger injection. Okay, so here just run that and see how we can inject the Dagger values be here. So if we go for the tutorial, and that means this is the injection of the repository to main activity. Okay, and sometimes it is a complexity to provide informations in the many activities in many fragments or the classes. So it's solved by easily in the form of a Dagger. We can make it because of we have a component of a breeze component be here, so we can pass it any activity. Okay, and you can see this is the Dagger class, so easy. So this is your first Dagger class you have to implement. But what happened that I don't go with directly inject with this. I have a many informations related to this. Just want I need this repository b, I want to call this repository b as a network repository, I want to call this b as a database repository, multiple repositories be here. So how we can do, you just see that we need a modules for that. So that is your module. How we can pass this? That means we need to pass a provide. Okay, so this is your first module, and in this module what we have to do, we just call that values of a repository be here. So I don't go with the inject. If you want to go, you just put it, otherwise no need of this be here. I want to pass this my text be as a, because of I need to pass the things be multiple things be here. So I just say that a val my text string. Okay, and here I just want to pass that be using a provides. So this is your provides, and I want with a function here. This is a network call, and that network call be as my repository. So this is the repository values. Okay, don't go with this. You just say return and say repository. This is network call. Okay, so this is your first module, and I want to call this be here using the dagger. But we do not go with inject with this class directly. We pass the values to the first module, and that module be we have to registered here, that is on the component. So component we're doing, we just put all the modules related, and we can call it anywhere. So that is a very good approach of that component. It is a bridge of all the modules. So that is an important, and here you can say that modules, and that modules you have to put on the bracket, and that bracket be your first module class. Okay, and now you can say this is the network call and run that. So it gives to you a network call. Okay, so let's see what happened. Yeah, this is the network call. So that means you can call this first module to your repository component that you put it, and here you can access that by the dagger repository component that we injected. That means that we need information be here. But what happen if you have a multiple modules be like that? That means 2 or 3 classes of different modules we have. So you can see that this is a second module, and here it is a database call, and this is a database call. But how we can access? You can say this is a comma, and this is your second module class. So that means we can access both the classes here. But sometimes it happens that we have a single repository in which we have to pass something and we want to get access the things. I will explain if we have a more repositories there on my next sessions. But here I just using a single repository where we need to inform, we have to pass information somewhere. So here we have a first module and we have a second module, we need to provide this information. But how here it can access that repository, a particular repository value be there, because of we have a 2 values here. So that is a confusion to that dagger, how we inject it and which injections we need it. So he said that we are very uh, good approach that is called here named. So if you say that on the provides, you say a named, and I have to put that named as in a network, and here I want to put that name as in a database. So here we can use 2 variables, and this is your one, and on the inject we can say that this is a field. So you can say this is a field, and that is the named say network. It should be same, so just copy paste it, don't take a risk. Okay, and for the second one it is a database. So easy. So it is a database. Okay, so that means this is the information. We register all the values be on your these two modules be in your component, and that is the bridge which need to pass the information of this repository to your activity. So that's very easy. And here we can say that this is the repository, and I want to call this dash dash dash, and say we have to concat repository one dot, it show the same my text. Okay, and run this so we can check. So what we have learned, that is very easy in a doc. So that's your main activity. If you want to inject something, that is your from repository to main activity, it works. Now we have multiple activities, multiple fragments be there, so we can input the information all be here as in a component, Dagger component, and inject it anywhere. So easy. And that means multiple dependency working for the activities. So that we have a component, we have a inject today, we have a provides. So that means we need a provide that particular module. This is our information, we can put it all things in your component, and that component is a bridge with your information to first activity or any activity. And if you have a multiple informations or multiple modules be there, so we provides the component here that is on a bracket, and we can inject these things be in your activity. Okay, so we have a other annotations, I don't want to discuss today. We shall discuss on that is a singleton and other upcoming session. You just see that what happened. So you can see that this is a network call, this is the database call. Okay, if you want to call some only a one, then you can. So how we can use this named, and we have other operators you can do work with the named. So we'll discuss in my coming session, but that is the day you just learn a very basic rule of the I mean this is a Dagger. So you learn that how we can create a component, how we can create a module, and how we can get access the things be in your activity. So you can create a packages be here. I will explain on models and the packages in my coming session, and how we can do with this. We just practice on this a basic Dagger, and then we learn lot of. Thank you so much for the day.